Hello, Boniface.
Hi, Della.
How are you doing?
I'm doing great
How do you
in
say?
lovely Nairobi right now.
Oh, what did you say?
I'm saying, yeah, just enjoying a nice, cool evening in Nairobi.
Yes, it's evening in Nairobi. How do you say? Hello. How are you doing in Swahili?
Habari yako,
Good.
umeshinda vipi? So
Hey.
habari yako umeshinda vipi is how are you? How have you been today?
Eh?
Yeah. So
Habayi kabashimpi.
umeshinda vipi?
Hey. Omeshinda vimpi.
Yes.
Okay. So omeshinda
Habari yako.
vavimpi.
Is it habari yako?
Habari yako. Habari yako. Boniface. Habari yako.
Then I say mzuri sana.
Zuri Sana. Which one is Zuri? Zuri is somebody's name, oh?
Mzuri. So you say mzuri sana.
Nuzuri
That's the
Sana.
response.
Okay, that means
I'm very well.
I'm
I'm great. So
very well.
Zuri is good.
Okay.
So saying Mzuri Sana is saying I'm very well.
Ah,
I'm very good.
Zuri. Oh, right. How have you been? I mean, you said you're doing well, but how's your week been so far? And happy new month to you, actually.
Yes, happy new month, exciting new month. Looking at the last quarter of the year. And yeah, for me, I'm excited. Of course, here now we're just looking to continue with life. Election is behind us. All the politics is behind us. So now everybody is just looking to have a great time last quarter of the year.
That is back to the basic. The song we just played is called Back to the Basic.
Back to the basics. That is what we're doing exactly.
Going back to the basic, but it's good. It's good to know that, of course, it's been a good one. Everybody's ready to go back on track. But we've actually got
Mm,
into the last quarter of the year, as you've rightly mentioned,
mm,
and there's been so many talks when it comes to boosting tourism. We know what the last quarter of the year always looks like, especially when you're expecting,
mm.
families to visit, when you're expecting new people to explore your country. How's the preparation been like, for instance, in Kenya, as we are getting closer to December?
Well, as we're getting closer to December, what you're seeing is a huge move by different tourism boards. Just the other week, we had the Dubai Tourism Board, which was in the country. They did a whole 1 day activity. They're calling it the DET Roadshow, where they are coming to connect with. So it was management companies in Dubai coming to connect with travel agencies right here. And also, like you just alluded, I just spoke to Peter Kawa, who's come from South Africa. So they were marketing the destination of South Africa to Kenya. So, of course, as far as tourism is concerned right now in Kenya, we're just seeing a buzz. Everybody, of course, right now is when people start to make their final bookings for their December plans, for their New Year's plans. So right now we're seeing a huge move to really market different destinations. Of course, even the local markets, and even in Kenya now, the counties are also fighting very hard because each single county in Kenya has a tourism ministry, sort of in because we have 47 counties, so each of them are fighting to make sure that they're getting visitors going to their place. So a lot happening in terms of tourism, both local and domestic, and both inbound and outbound.
Interesting one that you have there. Let me just play the interview that of course, you had earlier with regard to, South Africa tourism, because we are talking about tourism in Ghana, we are talking about tourism in Africa, and how best we can be able to promote our countries respectively. Of course, there's been so many conversations about how each and every country is investing heavily into tourism. World Tourism Day was just celebrated. There's been talks already, but let's listen to your interview first with Maka Peter, Peter Kawa, and after that we will continue our conversation.
Mr. Peter Kawa, start by introducing yourself and what you do.
And first of all, my name is Peter Kawa. I'm an actor, filmmaker, and talent manager. I happen to be privileged to be managing the likes of Aget Nasenya, Peter Kamau, among other artists, Mime Karaoke, Amali Chopet, and the likes.
Good stuff. So I mean, World Tourism Day was just last week, and you're just from a trip from in South Africa. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, one thing I think for us, most of the people that were taken to South Africa, we were amused by the way, there are what do you call it, the tourism board was really eager to make sure that they showcased most of the heritage from South Africa. So they brought in a couple of African influencers, media personalities, and practitioners to South Africa so that we can, experience some of their highlights, some of their. They took us to some of their monuments, their museums, and even festivals. So I think that is something that really stood out for me. I felt like it's something if most of our countries, especially even Kenya itself, if our tourism board would consider embracing such initiatives, then I believe we would have enough attention to our country.
Good stuff. I mean, personally, I'd gone for something similar for Dubai tourism, where we went and they were showing Kenyan influencers sort of some of the tourist attractions, so that we can market now Dubai back to Kenya. So speaking to other African countries, what opportunities are there? Because it looks like Kenya specifically, I mean, Dubai tourism has been here. Now you're telling me South African tourism is here. How much have we become? It looks like Kenyans are traveling more. What's your thought on that?
I do agree. I don't think it's the first time Kenyans have been invited over. I mean, to understand some of these festivals have been there since 2016, 2017, thereabouts, and Kenyans have been going there. Now, I need to understand even some of the influencers we had on board this time around were there even in July. So that means it's been a cycle of sorts. So it's like many, and I believe even Dubai itself has had some Kenyan influencers following suit. So I think it's something that many African countries are embracing, Dubai itself included. So I mean, the more boards consider such, then I believe we'd be headed the right way.
Okay.
Hoping that I've answered your question.
Yes. So basically, okay, we are talking to right now. You're talking to people in Accra. What's your word to the Ghanaian tourism board in terms of what are the opportunities that are available for Kenyans to travel to Ghana, and what's your encouragement to the tourism board in Ghana?
Well, first of all, I think it would be unwise for me to speak boldly, considering that I have not really engaged much with matters the tourism in Ghana. However, what I know, the biggest relationship Kenya and Ghana have is the entertainment industry. I'm a filmmaker myself, and one thing I know is that Ghana is also coming up very fast in next to Nigeria in terms of filmmaking, and even Kenya is also on top. So I believe one thing that can really work for both nations is if we can find collaborations when it comes to production of this content. We have Kenyan actors going to, have sessions with Ghanaian actors. And then, like even for filmmakers, they come over to Kenya, they use a couple of resources. Then you see how we can share the audience and see how we can share about our cultures, heritage, and stuff like that.
So thank you very much, Mr. Peter Kawa. Looking forward to seeing what you've been up to, especially on your social media. So just give us your handles so that guys can follow you.
So my social media platforms are Peter Kawa on Facebook, Peter Kawa on Twitter, and on Instagram it's The Peter Kawa.
The Peter Kawa. And Kawa is Kawa.
W-A, yes.
Awesome. Thank you very much for...
And that was Boniface Nyaga having an interview with Peter Kawa. He is an actor, a filmmaker based in Kenya, and they're talking about tourism. He was just part of the trip to South Africa where they had other African influencers to, market South Africa to, of course, their respective countries. I know Ghana had a few influencers there to market South Africa to Ghana, and he did that for Kenyans. So, Boniface, there's a question that you asked with regard to how we could improve tourism, especially between Ghana and Kenya. Because sometimes when you talk about going to Kenya, people have the perception that if you're a Ghanaian passport holder, you need a visa, but you don't actually need a visa to come to Kenya from Ghana.
True. In fact, for me, the first time when I came to Ghana, I was completely shocked because I thought I needed a visa. So I show up at the and I was actually ready to pay, when I'm coming in. Then when I get to the station, the clearing station, I'm told, no, Kenyan passport, pass through. So I think we have a lot of work, and maybe you and Della and you and me have a lot of work to do in terms of sensitizing people on the opportunities that are there and how easy it is. Literally, I just wake up, go to the airport, um, get into a plane, and I just stroll into Ghana like I'm coming back home. So I think we have a lot to do in terms of educating people on just how easy it is, and also all the amazing things and amazing opportunities that are there to visit. Like when I came to Ghana personally, I loved the place. We went to the isn't it Independence Square.
Yes.
We did a nice city tour of the place. Unfortunately, I didn't get to taste jollof.
You see,
That is
you
the only
see,
thing.
you see,
That is the only thing.
you see.
Yes.
The next time,
Yeah?
the next time you come, you have to, show me where you be, because I have to bring you that Ghana jollof. We even though we settled the matter with our recent show Afro Connect, still you need to taste that Ghana jollof.
Well, that's the thing. And something also interesting Peter brought out is entertainment
Yes.
as a connecting factor for tourism. I think that is one thing maybe both our governments and also both our people, both from Kenya, from Ghana, and I think across Africa. If there's one thing that connects us, it's entertainment, it's our music, it's our art, it's our movies. So we can use that, and we can use entertainment as a tool. In fact, when I did come in Ghana, by the way, I was a guest of your tourism board.
Right.
So we can see, let's see how we can connect media and entertainment, because that is the gateway to increasing tourism numbers across Africa.
It's interesting you talked about increasing tourism numbers, because this has been a conversation that in the past few weeks I've been having with colleagues and, of course, tourist enthusiasts in the country. When people say tourism, we usually are tempted to narrow it down to the people that we have coming into the country. So, for instance, if you have 1 million people coming into the country, you say that is tourism driven. But we tend to not discuss the infrastructure, the sites, the places of interest that people can go to, the state of these infrastructures that have been put in place. There has been huge conversations about investments. For instance, here in Ghana, the deputy tourism minister, Marco Kweku Mante, is saying that government is ready to diversify, its tourism program under the Ghana Tourism Development Project to improve the sites and infrastructure across the country. But people tend not to look at that part. I mean, you're not just an entertainment person. You're not just a tourist, but you're somebody who appreciates these travel. When you talk about tourism and improvement, infrastructure and sites, what really stands out for you?
I think just like you said, it's about investing. Because here's the thing: I am leaving my country, I'm going to another country. I need to feel comfortable. Already, when you're in another country, you're a bit scared, you're a bit concerned, you don't know what's going to happen. So you're a bit apprehensive. So you need to create comfort. If it is infrastructure in terms of the hotels, the bed numbers, because we cannot talk about increasing tourism numbers without talking about bed space. Hotels, we cannot talk about, and you see, the thing is, because I've done a bit of work also in the hospitality industry and marketing hospitality, people don't come to the hotels, people come for the activity. So when I'm booking my flight to come to Ghana, I'm not booking my flight just to come. There's an activity that's bringing me there. So by growing that activity, you literally grow numbers. And I think one of the most developed countries when it comes to tourism, people who've invested insane amounts of money, is Dubai. Because those guys, they may not have our beaches, they may not have our natural resources, like they may not have the wild animals that we have and all these amazing natural sites that we have, but they have invested money in activities to the point of where they've said we have the tallest building. So you're going all the way to Dubai just to see the tallest building. There are water parks, they have all these activities. So when we're talking numbers, we have to ask ourselves, what is that thing that will make someone leave their country, come all, if it's Ghana, come all the way to Ghana and have an amazing time and go back and tell all their friends, you guys have to go back to Ghana. So I think we need to invest. So infrastructure in everything. It's the roads which are leading to the tourist attractions. Every country, of course, has a tourist attraction, which is Kenya. We have our parks. So you'll find the government has actually invested a lot in making sure the parks are well. The roads, of course, they're not paved necessarily, but they are they're accessible. They're well. The roads are very good.
Yeah.
And then they work very closely. We even have police and security that is specifically for tourists.
Right. Which I agree with you, because of course once you enter into the country, there's so many things you start to think about, and of course you don't even go alone. Even if it's a solo trip, you always not solo, because you have a tour guide who is ready to go with you. Maybe if you're lodging in a hotel or an Airbnb, you have somebody who is ready to be of service to you, just to make sure that you're also comfortable in that country. I will take your final words on this, Boniface, because you've been to Ghana, I saw you went to Dubai. I'm sure you've explored South Africa. I don't know if you've explored Nigeria or many other Western African countries as much as you've explored the Eastern African countries, because that's also one thing. We in the West, we always tempted to want to explore maybe within our territory, and of course look into the Western, when I talk about Western part, like outside Europe, we're looking at taking a trip to France, taking a trip to, now even the Middle East is mostly Dubai. You barely hear people saying they want to take a trip to Morocco, or people want to take a trip to the northern part of Africa, Tunisia, Sudan. Now you're hearing Qatar, because of course there's a World Cup. For you who have traveled wide and what you've seen, what will be your final take when it comes to tourism in Africa, and how we can really boost it, not just for the money, but also to make it worthwhile?
Well, first of all, before I even finish that, by the way, I have a new title.
Hey, what's your
Did I tell you,
title?
Della? I have a new title.
What's your title?
Crown Prince of Nairobi. I'm the Crown Prince of Nairobi.
Hey, see, because of you, I come to Nairobi, please. Crown Prince of Nairobi, we are coming to Nairobi because of you.
Just because of the Crown Prince.
Yes,
and,
now.
the Crown Prince of Nairobi,
Yes.
I welcome all Ghanaians to Kenya. So I think for me, my challenge is to the operators, the airlines. Let's be active in marketing to each other, because having worked a lot in having worked, because I also have in my marketing agency, I've worked with hotels, I've worked with travel agents, travel management companies. We don't market that much. We have amazing packages, we have amazing things happening. Like the day you come to Masai Mara, Della,
tell me about it. Tell me about it.
Believe your eyes. You're just looking at expansive, beautiful scenery. You're wondering, wow, places like this exist. You feel like you're in a painting. You go to the coast, it's beautiful. So, but the thing is, we have all this, but we don't market. So my challenge to the entire, and it's not just government, because government have their role, but it's about people coming together, the hotels, the airlines, okay.
I agree with you.
Travel agents.
I agree.
The travel, the destination management companies. That entire ecosystem, people need to come together and put in an effect. And for example, the tourism boards, they should be sponsoring this show.
Please repeat it again for them to listen to it, and then let's cut that part and put it on social media. Please repeat. Crown Prince of Nairobi. Can you repeat?
So this is Nyaga, aka the Crown Prince of Nairobi, and my challenge to all the tourism boards in Africa: you need to invest in media, you need to invest in entertainment as a tool to market tourism, because entertainment is a thing that will reach out further than you can reach. So a show like this is something that every single tourism board, every single hotel, every single airline should be fighting to promote, because this is how you get to inform guys out there of the opportunities to travel. And so when people are planning their tours, they'll think, yeah, I had this thing on Beats Africa, so I want to go check out Ghana. Like, I'm sure when guys have been hearing me talking about Nairobi, everyone wants to come see Nairobi.
Yeah.
And as the Crown Prince of Nairobi, I shall welcome you. So my challenge to the entire ecosystem of tourism: market. We have amazing sites in Africa. We have beautiful sites. It's just that we don't know each other, and we don't have to wait for people from Europe, people from other continents to come visit us. We can start visiting each other.
In fact, Crown Prince, I agree with you. Right now, you go chop my money. I will give you my money to chop. Crown Prince, I agree with you. But the funny, it's quite interesting, and you just hit the nail on the head, because even with Kenya, People would always say, I want to go to Nairobi, but they forget that there are other, districts in Kenya that they can explore. There's Diani, where the beaches are so beautiful. There's Lamu, where it has a rich history. When fishing a port, is it a fishing port land, something like that? There are so many places in Kenya alone that people can always explore. There's so many places in Ghana alone that people can explore. It's not just Accra. We have the Volta region. We have the northern region. But then again, there's been concerns that even traveling on the African continent is quite expensive. So people would rather prefer to want to travel outside the continent because they feel that if I have to pay, for instance, $1,000 flight from Accra to Kenya, and that same $1,000 flight is moving me from maybe Ghana to Turkey or Accra to Paris or Accra to Germany, they would rather take that long route than to go from Accra to Kenya because they feel that Kenya is just here. It's like, 6-7 hours away flights. Why should I pay that amount of money? Do you agree with some of these? I'm sure you've had some of these conversations.
You see, the thing is, at the end of the day, also you have to remember the airlines are a business, and business volumes is what matters. For example, Nairobi to London, there's a flight almost 2 flights every day, so it's full. So because there's high volumes, the prices can go down. But when you have low volumes moving, then prices have to go up. Because at the end of the day, a plane will go, even if it's a 500-seater, if it has 2 seats, it still has to take off. So the idea is this: if we start encouraging movement, and if you have high traffic movements, then the cost will come down. And also now that's where intergovernmental sort of conversations, and even not just governmental, but also corporates, Kenyan corporates and Ghanaian corporates coming together and sort of working together. Because at the end of the day, it's about packaging. So I think cost is something that we can handle if we just start talking to each other and if we start traveling more and we start having high volumes. Because what will happen if it is KQ, if they have 3 flights a day and all the flights are full, obviously they'll go down. If there's a very high traffic, what will happen is if there's a high traffic of people moving, then even airlines will have to start competing. And even other airlines will join, other international airlines will join that corridor because there's high volume. So what we need to do is we need to start having high volume, and we need to encourage high volume and then work with both government and corporates to really, really incentivize that whole movement.
Crown Prince of Nairobi, well spoken. Really, I agree with you. Now you chop my money double. I bring you my money, but thank you so much, Boniface Nyaga. He is, of course, in Kenya. We've been speaking about tourism, especially on the African continent, and we've actually touched on a number of things that I think that if you're listening to us on the show, you should really, really follow up. First of all, you don't need a visa to move from Ghana to Kenya. It is not required. Yes. What you need to do is get an airline. Of course, flights can be expensive. You need to prepare, budget for your trips, okay? So you don't just say tomorrow that you want to go to Kenya. You have to look at the seasons, the time that the airlines, of course, will be charging exorbitant fares because it's a season. You need to plan. You need to plan ahead. Where you'll be going to? Would you stay in Nairobi for 2 days? Will you move to another province? How are you going to plan your trip? It should all be something that you should have in your mind before you even decide to take a journey. And once you get into the country, be open-minded. Do not go in with what you've heard. Somebody will say, oh, when I went there, people were telling me that this people, they are like this. So that is what you have in your mind. No, you always want to go into a country fresh, explore, get to know people, be involved in their history, be involved in their culture. Pick a language or two, diversify, so you know that indeed you are actually exploring the continent like never before. Crown Prince, thank you so much for your time on the show, Boniface. I really, really appreciate you. I'm wishing you a lovely week, and October is going to be good. Cheers, Crown Prince.
Yes.